What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. So as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about top 3 scariest moments as a female dealer, part 2. So these stories are very difficult for me to share. I have to go back to a really negative place, but it is my hope that in sharing this, you guys will not make the same mistakes I made, or you guys can just learn something from my past. That lifestyle was so glamorous to me when I was a child. When I was in my early teens, I thought it was so cool to go down that path and to live that life, that fast and loose lifestyle. I thought the money would be great. I thought the money would change my life. It turns out you can't buy happiness, and the more money I made, the more depressed I got, the deeper my addiction got, and the worse I felt about myself. So I want you guys to just keep that in mind when I am sharing this story, that I am in no way, shape, or form glamorizing that world, and I'm actually kind of ashamed at the lifestyle that I used to live. However, my story did not end there. I am so proud to be sitting here 8 years sober from drugs, and everything that I own was bought without drug money, and that is a huge accomplishment for me because my life was very different 8 years ago. All right, enough rambling. So without further ado, let's get into top 3 scariest moments of a female dealer, part 2. Not that anyone asked me, and not that it's relevant to this video, but it is like 6 degrees in Chicago. Y'all, I am freezing. I went out to start the car this morning so the girls did not have to be in a cold car, and I was like, ugh, like literally so cold. But it actually reminded me of this event happening because this time happened when it was pretty freaking cold in upstate New York. So this happened in 2009, I want to say. I'd have to ask Randy actually to get the dates, 2008 or 2009. So this time in my life, I was pretty heavily into H in upstate New York. I was very addicted to it. I was getting into debt in such a way that I could not pay it back. Now, there were several moments where I was in debt that my runners or people that sold for me would help me get out of it. One runner in particular really helped me out several times. I have shared stories about him on my channel also without using his name, but I talk about one runner in particular because he was, at the time, my best and only friend. I have since learned that he betrayed me in a really messed up way, but that's not what this video is about. So one of my runners was very, at the time, loyal and helped me out a lot. He would help me get out of debt over and over again, and I would just steadily climb back into debt. I would pay people's bills, I would pay my bills, I would help Randy, I would just do all kinds of things, go on trips, and I started to do less and less as my addiction deepened. So as my addiction deepened, the only thing that was getting me into debt was my drug use. So I remember one morning, it was re-up day, and I woke up and I just felt like something was wrong. I just felt like something was wrong, but it was re-up day. So I was happy, which is a word that I wouldn't use at all to describe any moment in my life back then, but I was relatively content. I wouldn't even say happy. I was relatively content this morning. I got up, I got ready, and it was part of my routine that I put a lot of makeup on my arms. I have tracks all the way from up here all the way down to my wrist. I have since tattooed over so many of my scars, but I would color correct, and I would use a lot of foundation on my arms. I would use more foundation on my arms than I used on my face. Actually, at the time, I don't think I put any foundation on my face. My makeup routine back then was mascara, and that's probably it. So I was getting ready. I was doing my whole color correcting my arm thing, which was really painful for me because my tracks were not healed. They weren't it wasn't like I was covering scars. I was covering wounds on my arm, basically, you know what I mean? So I was going through all of that. And this is actually a story that we have mentioned, that Randy and I have mentioned in a previous video. I will leave that on the card up here. We mentioned it very briefly in passing, but yeah, you guys are getting all the deets this morning. So I was getting ready. I did not want dude to know where I lived, so I would usually walk, to somewhere and I would meet him. He picked me up, I got in his car, and he's not saying a word to me. I can tell that he's mad. I know that I'm in debt. I know that I've made him, I know that this is a tense situation, but my last re-up went smoothly, and I almost had all of the money for my usual re-up. Almost. Not quite. I had probably 3/4 of what I needed for that re-up. I get in the car and I'm immediately like, I just know something's wrong. I know something is wrong. I know that I'm alone and that's a mistake, and it was just not, you could just feel the tension in this car. We're driving and we're driving and we're driving, and he's not saying a word to me, nothing. Didn't even say hello to me, not a single thing. It's cold. He did not turn the heat on in the car, and to this day, I hate the smell of a new car. That triggers relation memory. So I can't stand getting in a car that smells like a new car, because his cars always had that new car smell. They were fresh off the lot, and it makes me nauseous. So I remember sitting in the passenger seat of this car. It's a very nice car, and being immediately like overcome with, I made a mistake. Like my gut was just telling me this was not good. His energy was like so off that day, and I just knew that something was up. So eventually I said, "What's up?" And he completely ignored me. So we're getting closer and closer to Oneonta, New York. And he said, "Give me your phone." And I thought, he doesn't ask me for my phone. I just can't be on my phone when we're doing re-ups. I can't be texting, I can't be, which was kind of a pain in the ass, on a flip phone back in the day, but I couldn't be on my phone. He didn't mind if I had it, but I couldn't use it. He took my phone from me and put it in his pocket, and I immediately just felt so scared. Like I just knew something was up. So we get to Oneonta, New York, and we get to this hotel. It's a disgusting hotel, and I am like, what are we doing here? Like, this is so outside of what our normal re-up looks like. So I'm like, what are we doing here? Doesn't say a word to me, and he said, "Get out," eventually. So I got out and I'm walking. You guys, it's freezing cold. I'm scared. This has never happened before. I don't have a phone. I can't reach out to anyone. I can't even like call out for help because I don't even know what's really wrong, right? Like, this is so strange. Our normal re-ups looked like I would drive to some place and he had it stashed somewhere outside of town. He'd pick it up and give it to me. I'd pay him. End of re-up. It was just really strange, right? Anyway, so we walk into this hotel room, this disgusting, I guess it's a motel. So we walked in this motel, a really, really dirty motel, and there's 2 other guys I had never seen before in my life in this room. And I'm completely like confused. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. And he said, "Sit down." Now the other guys in the room are just like standing there like so serious and so stoned faced. And I'm just like, what do I do? I don't make eye contact with them. And I kind of just look down, and my guy says, "Do you know how much money you owe me?" And that was all it took for me to be so fucking scared. I knew this was not gonna end well for me. He asked me, "Do you know how much money you owe me?" And I said no. And he gave me a number, and my heart sank. Now, I don't say anything, and my mind is just racing. My mind is racing. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. All I know is I can't show him that I'm scared. So I'm trying really hard to act like I'm not affected by this, to act like, okay, heard ya, you know? But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter was I was scared, especially being by myself, and he's obviously trying to intimidate me with 2 other people in the room, and it's just not good. So I kind of just assumed a re-up was not gonna happen, so I went to get up to walk away, and he said, "Sit down." And I said, "Fuck you." And I tried to walk out. That was my plan, to just walk, to just leave, just get out of this space, because clearly I'm in danger. I don't have anyone with me. I'm scared. Obviously you're angry. Obviously you're upset with me. We've been driving for 30 minutes and you're not great. This is not how our usual re-up goes. I don't even know what my thought process here was. I just remember not wanting to appear scared. So I stood up, I said it, I said fuck you, and then I stood up, and he takes a Glock out of his, I guess out of his belt or whatever. It was like right here on his side. He takes it out, he's holding it like this, kind of like, he's holding it like this, and it happened so fast. He went smash and cracked me in the side of the head, and it hurt so bad. I fell, and I remember thinking, don't cry. Do not cry, do not cry, do not cry. Now, it's just kind of my body just did that on its own. So I remember feeling the tears, and I remember feeling the blood, and my head was ringing. It hurt so bad. So I felt that pop to the side of my head. My head was just like, I can't even explain it. Like, it was throbbing, my head was bleeding, and I'm like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, even though tears had already started to well up in my eyes, and it was just bad. So I'm sitting there, or I'm laying there, because he just hit me and I had fallen, and I'm laying there and I'm like, get up, get up, get up, get up. I am so surprised, you guys, that he didn't knock me out. I had never been hit that hard before, ever. I mean, it was just like, whatever. So I sat up, my head is throbbing, my ears are ringing, I feel the blood, but I'm not touching it because I want to try my best to seem unaffected. I'm trying not to cry, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like as stone faced as I could get with blood. Like, I felt it like going in my hair. It was so gross. And he said, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna bag up all this shit, I'll be back. And he just left me there. He just left me there with a mixing bowl full of heroin and left. I don't have a phone, I don't have a car, I don't have anything. And I just sat there and I thought, what the hell just happened? So I go to the bathroom and I get a towel wet, and I'm like trying to wash this off, and then I get another towel because there was just blood everywhere. And it was a washcloth. I take another washcloth and I just keep it on my head for a minute, and I'm walking around and I'm just like, what do I do? And I remember pacing back and forth in this tiny ass hotel room, and I'm pacing and I'm just like, should I just try to walk? Like, I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's like sitting outside. I don't know if he's like seeing if I will run, or seeing if I will leave, or seeing if I'm gonna call someone on the hotel phone. Like, I did not know what he was thinking. And every single bone in my body wanted to run and just wanted to leave. And I wasn't even thinking about taking the drugs. I just wanted to get out of there because I don't know if he's gonna come back or if these guys are gonna come back. I don't even know. But I'm like, my mind is racing, right? And I'm holding this washcloth on my head, and I just thought, what have you even gotten yourself into? Like, how stupid are you for getting into debt with him? So at this point, it had probably been around an hour and a half. Now, Randy is expecting me home within an hour and a half. I mean, my ribs would usually only take 20 minutes. So now that it's been an hour and a half, I know that he's like, what the heck is happening? I already know that he knows something is wrong. So I do the only thing that I know how to do, bag up dope. So I'm sitting there, and I took tape, still a trigger for me for some reason. I hate to see that kind of tape, but I took tape and I would take it out and I put it all along this desk in this hotel. And I had tons of tape and the wax bags, and I was bagging up. I probably bagged anywhere from 200 to 500 bundles, with my head ringing, with my vision that was just not even right. I mean, it's so hard to explain what I was going through. I was so dizzy, I was so lightheaded, I was in so much pain. There was fucking blood everywhere, and it just was so painful. It was so painful. I did use a little bit of stuff that was there, and I did get high, and that made me feel a little bit better, but I used intravenously at this time, and I didn't have any of that stuff with me, so I snorted a little bit, and that did help the pain dissipate. So, but I also didn't want to be caught doing that. So I was honestly, even though I'm in this room by myself, I was honestly so scared to use any of it, because like, he knows what is supposed to be there. So I was just so nervous, and I was left in this room for hours. And I know that Randy is now in a full-on panic, and I know that my runners are in a full-on panic. I was supposed to be back hours ago. Hours ago. They know who I'm with. They know this is a serious situation. They have to know at this point that I'm in trouble. But they don't know where I am. So hours go by. The sun goes down. And I hear a car pull up. This is a like really rinky-dink, horrible motel. You can hear everything. It's an outdoor motel. I heard a car pull up, and I heard one car door shut, and he came back to the room, my dude, who is now serving life in prison. He opens the door, he walks in, he said, "You ready to go?" And I'm like, yeah, yes, yes, I'm ready to go. And I remember there being blood on my shirt. It was a hoodie. I was wearing a hoodie. I remember there being blood on my hoodie. I remember wanting so badly to tell him how much I hate him. He said, "Whatever you bagged up is your re-up." And I'm like, it's not even half of what I need, but I didn't say anything. So I'm like, okay. So I took the bundles that I bagged up, and I put some of them in my bra, and I put some of them in my hoodie pocket, and some of them in my jeans pocket. And I remember walking out of that motel room thinking, now what is he gonna do? Like, now what is he going to drive me somewhere and shoot me? Is he really gonna take me home? I remember being so scared. So we ended up driving back to Sydney, and I got out of his car, and I looked across the street, and Randy is there with at least 10 other people. They all have guns. They're all drunk. They are mad, but relieved at the same time. Like, they're mad that I was gone for so long. They're mad that I worried them, but they're also relieved that I'm okay and I'm there. So I remember Randy has the gun on the car, and I remember just getting out, closing the door, and walking right past him. I walked right past him down that street that I showed you, and walking around my hometown video with the trap house. I walked straight past that. On the corner, it's now a pizza place that used to be a bar. So everyone's inside that bar drinking. It used to be called the Hideaway Lounge, and now it's like Gavin's Pizza or something. So I walked down the street, I walked down Union Street, and I just walk right past him, and he immediately chases me and follows me, and he has a sawed-off shotgun in my face, and he is mad. He put it in my face. His mom lived across the street. She's yelling at him because she's like, she's gonna call the cops on you. And now I'm like, I would never call the cops, and I was so mad. So it's this whole big dramatic scene of my friends and a couple people that worked with me, outside of the bar, drunk. A couple of my cousins are there. Everyone has guns. Randy has a gun in my face. His mom is screaming at me. And now I'm trying to walk through the Rite Aid parking lot so I can go back to my apartment. I was so mad. And once Randy calmed down a little bit and he put the gun down and put it back in his pants, he said, "How much work did you get?" It was kind of dark, so I don't think he could see right away that there was like dried up, crusty, nasty blood in my hair, probably still in my ear. It was so gross. My head's just throbbing. All I want to do is go home and use it intravenously because I'm in so much pain. And I did just that. I walked as fast as I could back to my place, and I locked myself in the bathroom because Randy was like on my tail, like yelling at me or asking me what happened or where was I, and it was so dramatic, and everything is kind of a fog because of everything that just happened. I probably have a concussion. I probably needed stitches, and I haven't gotten high all day other than like a tiny little bit, and I'm just stressed the actual out, right? So I get back to my apartment, lock myself in the bathroom, I get everything out. I hid a few packs from Randy so that he didn't know we had that, so that I could sell it and try to make some money back because we're now in severe debt. So I get high without him with Randy at the door, mad as hell, and I open the door and I go to our bedroom and I take everything out for the first time, right? And as soon as we got high, it was like none of that even happened. Everything was completely fine and everything's good now because we have drugs. And I got high that night, and the next morning I took a shower, and I remember standing in my shower for what felt like an hour, just standing there completely miserable, completely depressed. All I wanted to do was not this anymore. I was tired. I was so sick of it. I was so sick of the fact that this had become my life. I was so bothered by it, and I was so just in such a dark place that all I wanted to do was no longer live. And I remember thinking if I could just do a big shot, I'd go to sleep and I wouldn't have to deal with this anymore. I was so depressed. I'm saying that to say this: no matter how bad life gets, no matter how many mistakes you make, you can always recover and bounce back. No matter how deep your addiction is, you can rise up. You can pull yourself out of that world, and I am living proof of that. My past is dark, and it's awful, and it's filled with so much pain and depression. But I look back on that person that I used to be, that lost, miserable, really dysfunctional girl, and I see just that, a girl. So I am so happy and proud of myself and blessed that I have made it to age 30 and I have 8 years sober. So if you are still struggling in addiction, please reach out for help. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay sober, do not sell drugs, and I'll see you on my next one.